Hi, I'm Nisha DeGaring, host of Good Things Utah, and I've been a longtime supporter of Todd's Belief Cast. I hope you find inspiration in the courageous stories shared by the amazing people Todd features on his show. The guests serve as shoulders for us to stand on, allowing us to see a little further and cultivate belief in oneself. Remember, you have the dignity and power to change. I encourage you to keep striving and believing in yourself. Enjoy today's podcast.
I want to take a moment to express my heartfelt gratitude to the incredible sponsors of the Belief Cast podcast. First, Craig from Craig Swap and Associates. If you need an attorney, he's your guy. Trustworthy, compassionate, always there when you need him most. Next, Wasatch Recovery, the greatest university on the planet, transforming lives one day at a time. Sandy from Minky Couture, the creative genius behind the most comfortable blanket you'll ever wrap yourself in. Comfort like no other. The visionaries behind Thread wallets. These wallets redefine style and functionality. Dave Philippi from Micro Plus, pushing the boundaries of nanotechnology and scientific research to bring us cutting-edge supplements for optimal health. The Ralphs and the Debenhams, creators of Mori Nutrition and Calm. Because if you're struggling with sleep, feeling stressed, or can't focus, Calm is your answer. Special thanks to the award-winning pianist Paul Cardall for his beautiful music that brings inspiration to every episode. And finally, Gab Wireless, letting kids be kids and giving parents the peace of mind they deserve. Right now, Gab is offering $25 off any device to new customers with no contract required. That's $25 off any Gab smartphone or smartwatch. Just go to gab.com/belief. That's where you'll get the best deal. That's gabb.com/belief. Thank you to all these amazing sponsors for supporting the Belief Cast podcast and empowering us to continue spreading positivity and inspiration to the world. Welcome back, everybody. This is Todd Sylvester, the host of the Belief Cast. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thanks to my sponsors. A shout out to them. I appreciate all your support. It means the world to me. And thanks to all of you tuning in week after week. This wouldn't be where it's at without you guys. So thank you so much. Hope you're having a great day. Today's going to brighten your day because we have an amazing person on our podcast. We have Jessica Anne Renfeldt. Jessica, thank you for being here.
I am so excited to be here. Thank you for having me.
You bet. We were introduced by a mutual friend, Tiffany Peterson, and we were just saying how much we love her. So shout out to Tiffany.
Yes, love Tiffany.
You're the greatest in the world, and everyone loves you, and we love you too.
Yes.
So let me tell you a little bit about Jessica. She is the embodiment of resilience, gratitude, and unwavering strength. As a heart transplant survivor, a mother, an author, the founder of Mindset Coaching by Jessica Anne, she has turned her own profound challenges into a powerful mission, helping women rediscover their inner strength and live a life they truly love. Jessica's journey through illness, loss, and transformation has given her a unique and deeply compassionate perspective on what it means to not just survive, but to thrive. Today, she joins us to share her incredible story, the power of radical resilience, and how we can all find joy even in the life's hardest moments. So everyone, let's give Jessica a warm welcome to the Belief Cast. Well, yeah, I'm super excited for this one because, again, I've had a few other people on my podcast who have had heart transplants and, gone through similar ups and downs with that, similar to yours, the survivor guilt and, other things like that, which we'll get into. But why don't we start off, Jessica? Where did you grow up and a little bit about your childhood?
Sure. I am a farmer's daughter. I grew up in Delta, Utah.
Okay, yeah. I've been to Delta before. I actually did a speaking event there once.
Okay, I swear.
Love it.
Everybody knows someone from Delta.
Yeah.
It's the craziest thing. So, and it's out in the middle of nowhere, just a small little town.
Right.
I think when I grew up with the surrounding communities, I think it was about 5,000 people. So we lived on the outskirts of Delta in a small little farming community called Sutherland.
Okay.
Both my dad and his dad were alfalfa farmers. So I grew up on 40 acres of green, lush alfalfa farms.
Oh, wow. Nice.
I had a pet pig at one point.
Really?
I had a horse. We always had cats and dogs. I feel like I had a really pretty good childhood. I got to run wild and free and
Yeah, that
and
sounds
do all
amazing.
the things that they say Gen X kids get to do. Drink from the hose, play in the
Yes.
ditches, run through hay fields on top
Wow.
of haystacks. It was pretty amazing.
I love when you say drink from the hose. As a kid, that was
Yeah.
one of my favorite things in the world.
Yes.
And you'd grab just anyone's hose. They
It
always
didn't
had them out
matter.
front. You just
Yep.
grab it and just take a big
Yep.
drink and you're good to go.
Didn't matter. I loved it. And I can still like taste it
Yes.
if I think about it.
Yeah, get a little hose taste to
Uh-huh.
it.
Yeah, but that brings me
Yeah.
so much joy to think about
sure.
it. I love it.
Right on. So
Yeah.
obviously it sounded like a really, beautiful setting where you grew up.
Uh-huh.
And, Delta is a beautiful place. I think it's beautiful out there. So do you have siblings? How was it growing up with?
I do. So I'm the oldest.
Okay.
And then I have a sister just 2 years younger than me, a brother 5 years younger.
Okay.
And then our little caboose, my little Renda, is special needs.
Okay.
And so being the sister of a special needs sibling is a unique blessing in itself.
Sure. Yeah.
She's still alive. She's, I guess, goodness, 86. She'll be 40 next year.
Oh, wow.
Up until last year, she still lived with my parents.
Mm.
But when my mom passed, my dad has a little bit of dementia.
Okay.
We decided it would be best to get her in a home.
Okay.
And they were in Fillmore at the time, but we moved her up here, and she's in Sugar House in a little group home, and she loves it. She's so happy.
Oh, really? Good.
Absolutely loves it.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So obviously it sounds like you're close to your siblings and
Pretty close. I
Yeah.
mean, as close as you can be as adults when we all start doing our own thing.
we're
and
busy and
yeah.
got all kinds of things.
I wish
going
we
on.
were closer. How about that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So how long did you stay in Delta, and when, did you finish high school there and then move
Yeah.
on, or?
No, I didn't finish high school there, actually.
Okay.
When I was 12, my dad decided that he was done being a farmer because he was farming during the day and that didn't make ends meet.
Okay.
So he was also running the mail at night. So he would jump
boy.
in a mail truck at night and go pick up all the mail bags from all the small little cities between Delta and Provo, sleep a couple hours in Provo, turn around, take the new mail bags back, drop them off at the post office, and then farm again the next day.
Wow.
And he used to take us kids, which I loved. Like,
Yeah.
he'd take us to dinner and we'd get to talk and hear the world as Todd Turner knows it. And, so it was fun, but it was just a lot. And my mom was left alone a lot, and she had MS. So
Yeah.
she didn't always feel good. So we decided to move to Las Vegas at that point. We had a lot of family there who were in the elevator trade. And it was right during the boom when you think about like Excalibur and Treasure
Yeah.
Island going up. So there was a ton of work. And so we stayed there for a couple years. And then we kind of hit that recession. Post-war, there was a recession. And we ended up moving to Southern California.
Okay.
High desert area, Victorville, Hesperia. I graduated
Okay.
from Hesperia High School.
Okay.
And that's actually where I met my husband, and I got married at 18.
Yeah.
Which
Wasting
is
no time.
crazy. It's so crazy.
Yeah. Wasting
Yeah.
no time. Wow.
No time.
Wow. That's incredible. So, you get married, and, we mentioned, obviously you've been through a lot of tough times in your life,
Uh-huh.
and it sounds like you said your mom had MS.
She did.
My sister passed away from MS just a few years ago, so I know what that's kind of like.
My mom
and,
just passed away from complications
Yeah.
in January of last
yeah,
year.
sorry to hear that.
Yeah. Sorry to hear about your sister,
Yeah,
too.
it's
That's
tough.
rough.
It's like, sometimes life just isn't fair, right?
It's just not.
It's just not.
Yeah.
What I love about you and what the research I've done on you is just, I love how grateful you are.
Oh, my gosh.
You are such a grateful person. And
Yeah.
let's maybe go there just for a second, and then we'll get into the details of the struggles. But
Yeah.
why is gratitude so prevalent in your life?
Because why not? Why not be grateful? Here I
Yeah.
am. I get I get this incredible opportunity to have a body
Yeah.
and live on this beautiful earth, and every day that I'm able to wake up and stand up, I am so incredibly grateful.
Yeah.
And Throughout my life, I always heard about how important gratitude practices were. And it wasn't until I got really sick where I was like, man, I need to really get serious about this because this is going to get dark real fast if I don't.
Yeah, okay.
And so I just started looking for things to be grateful for every day. And they were sometimes odd things, and sometimes they were incredible, beautiful things. But every day I started looking for those things to be grateful for. And when you have a heart and a mind that's open to gratitude,
Yeah.
Your vibration, your energy rises, and you start seeing more and more things to be grateful for. And it's not that they're new. They were always there. You just maybe had been closed off to them.
For sure.
And the cool thing about gratitude is it cultivates joy.
Yeah, right.
And I personally feel that the reason that we're on this earth is to experience joy.
Yeah.
And I think everybody defines joy differently and experiences it differently. But for me, it's love, it's laughter, it's fun, it's curiosity. Like, what is it that I've always wanted to do that I never did, but I'm ready to do it now?
Yeah.
And it's adventure, and it's just play.
Yeah.
Play is joyful.
Right.
So, like, if I can raise my vibration through gratitude to reach joy,
Yeah.
like the rest of life, I can handle.
Yeah, I love that.
I can handle it.
That's beautiful. Well, you come from a unique perspective. Let's get right to it and just talk about you obviously going through some health issues, and we said you're a heart transplant recipient, which is amazing.
It is.
So let's talk about what led up to that, and then just kind of share some of those experiences with that.
Of course. So in 2016, I thought I was living the American dream. Wife, mom, beautiful house, a boat, beautiful kids.
Yeah.
Really pretty good career I was very successful in. But I just, like, on the emotional side, I wasn't feeling like incredibly fulfilled.
Okay.
But also about that time I started feeling really sick and run down.
Okay.
And I went to the doctor multiple times. I had like a bronchitis that settled in my chest that just took months to get rid of. And I was swelling in my legs, totally exhausted, so much so that I was actually like falling asleep on my desk during conference calls.
Oh, man.
Waking up in a pool of slobber. It was bad. I was just so tired. And at night I would lay down and I'd hear rattling in my chest. And I kept going to the doctor, what's wrong? I had been misdiagnosed several times. My thyroid, she was concerned that my thyroid was still a little off, so we adjusted my thyroid medication.
Okay.
And then when that was adjusted and working and I still said I was like short of breath, she thought, well, maybe you're having some allergic asthma. So we added another medication for that. Still didn't fix it.
Yeah.
And I was so just focused on going to work, doing a good job, and climbing the corporate ladder and being a good mom that I didn't take the time to stop and just really listen to what my body was telling me.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until we went to the zoo for my daughter's, I think she was 17 or 18 at the time. She wanted to go to the zoo for her birthday. And you're aware, Hogle Zoo, you have to walk downhill to get to all the exhibits, which means at the end of the day, it's all uphill.
Yeah,
and
it's a good climb.
It is a good climb, and my body knew it that day. And I would take about 10 steps, and I couldn't go anymore, and I'd have to rest. And my husband was like, just lean on me. Don't worry. We're not in a hurry. But what's going on? Like, listen to your body. And so I did. For like the first time in a year, I stopped and I listened. And what I felt is a pressure building behind my heart. And so I had this pressure build behind my heart. And then as I stopped and I waited for 10, 15, 20 seconds, the pressure would slowly dissipate.
Okay.
And so, it took us 15, 20 times to get out of the zoo like that.
Jeez.
And finally he's like, hey, I've been doing my own Googling
Yeah.
and I think you have congestive heart failure. And I was like, okay,
You're like, don't say that.
don't say that, because I had thought that, but you don't want to think those things.
Yeah.
And I was like, all right. So I kind of surrendered to that idea and got into the doctor, poured my eyes out and told her emphatically that I knew it was my heart. So she did put an EKG on me that day and found that my heart was putting off a low voltage signal, which means your heart's not working like it's supposed to, because our hearts are little machines, little engines.
Yeah.
And they have to conduct electricity through our body. And mine wasn't doing it. So we knew something was wrong. And she referred me to get a stress echo done. So I went to Intermountain and had that. And the radiology technologist was so concerned about my heart that they wouldn't let me get on the treadmill. And they started asking me very direct questions. Have you ever had a heart problem before? Have you ever had an echo before? And then he stopped and he said, I need to go get the radiologist. So the radiologist comes in, asks more questions, and he says, I need to go get the cardiologist on call. And I'm like, oh no,
Like,
what is going on?
Yeah.
Yeah, and the cardiologist didn't come in, but he looked at my echo via the computer system and told the radiologist under no uncertain terms was I to leave the state within the next 3 days, that I would be coming into the heart failure clinic the next day and spending about 9 hours getting tests done. And he told the radiologist that he was certain that I had cardiac AL amyloidosis, which is a really, really, really rare blood disease, terminal. Usually only 70-year-old men get it, and I was 41-year-old female.
Wow.
Yeah. And so, just like Dr. Afshar said, he called me while I was in the car on the way home after I almost just broke down and wasn't able to walk, like, all the way to my car.
Wow.
I literally pulled over the top of my car just in tears. I felt like I had gotten punched in the gut. Dialed my husband. I told him, I said, something's really wrong with my heart. And he said, okay, I'm coming home. And Dr. Afshar called and said, okay, we've got you scheduled. You'll come in tomorrow. This is what I think you have, but I'm going to do my best to take care of you. So what did we do? We start Googling everything.
Right.
And that night we didn't sleep. We talked about wills and
I bet.
everything that we could think of. What are we going to do? When are we going to tell the kids? What's going to happen? And then from then it was just really, really fast. So treatment for the disease is actually similar to the treatment for multiple myeloma.
Okay.
So I did 2 rounds of outpatient chemotherapy, and then I got worked up for a bone marrow transplant. So that started in October. I had my bone marrow transplant by December 5th.
Okay.
And then we hoped for the best, that it would actually shut the disease process down, but it didn't entirely at the 60-day mark. And so I was put on another 10 months of outpatient chemo.
10 months.
10 months.
Wow.
And to say that my body got worn down was no joke.
I can't even
I
imagine.
was so
what you
worn
went through.
down by the end.
Yeah.
And finally, my oncologist was like, let's stop. You are so just drained. Your numbers look better. Let's give it a couple months, and then I want you to go Mayo Clinic in Rochester and get a second opinion, because they're kind of like the leaders
The leader in that.
in the U.S. for
Okay.
it. And so I did in February of 2018. I went and got a second opinion, and they said, you're in hematologic remission. If it comes back, please come and see us. We get all of the the meds that are released for testing before the FDA approves them. And you could be part of those studies.
Okay.
But knock on wood, it's never come back. And when I hit my 5-year mark, the possibility of it coming back dropped like a ton.
Yeah.
So I still check every 3 months.
Yeah.
Go and get an exhaustive set of blood work done. just to make sure. But knock on wood, that part hasn't come back.
That is good.
Yeah, so I went on, lived my life, did everything I could, continued gratitude practice, continued to keep my life as stress-free as possible.
Sure.
Adopted practices like Qigong, yoga. I fell in love with nature again.
Yeah.
Did a lot of hiking until my body started slowing down again. And the congestive heart failure came on with a fury. And I was in the hospital every couple months getting diuresed, so getting extra fluid pulled from my body to take the strain off my heart and my kidneys. And in November of 2019, I was like, oh my gosh, like, is this it? Like, is this how I'm going to have to live the rest of my life? This is hard.
Yeah, I can imagine.
And I mean, I'm totally happy to do it. I'm here for a reason, but it was hard. And then in January of 2020, right after I had done this vision board of what I wanted 2020 to look like, I fell in my kitchen with a massive stroke.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, it was bad. But we live just a block north of Altaview. And when I woke, I blacked out and I fell. But when I woke, I couldn't talk. I could like moan and make a loud enough sound that one of my kids came. It was my youngest. I was actually hoping it would be my middle daughter because she's a little bit older. Yeah. She had just gotten her CNA license, and I thought, well, maybe she'll handle it better. That's what I was thinking. But Madeline showed up, and I remember immediately she's like, Mom, what's wrong? Let me go get Dad and Liz. And they came, but Clarissa was smart enough to do all the stroke tests.
Okay.
Stick out your tongue, where are you at, all of that. And she kept on insisting to her dad, she's had a stroke. We need to get her to a hospital. I think he was in disbelief. But he picked me up, threw me over his shoulder, threw me in the Ford pickup truck, and we drove to the hospital. And that fast intervention literally saved what I'm able to do today, and that's to communicate and to walk and do all the things. So they administered a drug called TPN. It breaks up the clot from a medicinal standpoint.
Okay.
Then they threw me in an ambulance to send me to our trauma center, Intermountain Healthcare, in Murray. And then they went in with a catheter, like a robot arm, up into my brain with like a mesh basket and wrapped it around the clot and pulled it out as much as they could.
Yeah.
And
That's
then
amazing they can even do that.
I know, it's
seriously.
crazy. That was an intense night.
I can imagine.
And I was awake during that procedure, which is even more crazy.
Oh my gosh.
But so for the next 24 hours, I was literally on the neuro ICU floor being watched really intensely. After you have a stroke, they wake you every 15 minutes. They ask you your name, if you know where you're at, why you're there. And so it was Jessica, Intermountain Hospital. I had a stroke. Yeah. And I don't know how well it sounded because I was completely numb on my left side.
Left side, yeah.
But it was like this reminder that, oh my goodness, I've had a stroke every 15 minutes.
Jeez.
Throughout
You're
that
like,
night.
please just let me sleep.
Just let me sleep. I'm exhausted.
Right?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
And my kids and my husband lined the wall with me that night and just waited with me, which I'm so grateful the hospital let them do. It was pre-COVID, so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Right. And I remember at one point the neurology team came in and my husband said, is she ever going to walk or talk again? And they're like, at this point, we don't know. And I remember thinking, oh, no. That is not how this life is going to happen.
It's not an option. Yeah.
Yeah. So the next day, I started asking if they'd help me sit up on the edge of my bed, if they'd help me stand by my bed. And by the next day, I had managed to walk around the neuro ICU. I'm sure it wasn't a pretty walk. I remember my leg was kind of like dragging behind me, and I needed the help from the physical therapist and my husband on the other side. But I walked around that unit, and all of the nurses and doctors, their jaws were literally slack-jawed. And it was at that point I realized I had another miracle, that I survived this, and I was walking around the neuro ICU.
Amazing.
But it was that stroke that tipped off the heart failure doctors to know that, oh my goodness, her heart is so stiff that it's pooling blood and it's creating clots now that are going to her brain. We need to do something. And that's when they started to work me up for the heart transplant.
Okay.
Yeah, so.
My goodness.
Yeah, so I waited for 18 months for my heart. It was really hard to place. I have a high antibody count.
Okay.
Probably because all of my blood transfusions that I had to have during like chemo and everything.
Yeah, okay.
So I waited for 15 months outpatient, and then the last 3 were spent in the cardiac ICU. And I will tell you that gratitude was my savior. Like, in all the things I've done, I've been in the hospital. I told Madeline, my youngest, I said, I think I spent at least 6 months in the hospital over the last 10 years. She's like, Mom, it's way more than that. Yeah. She's like, you need to recount.
Yeah, you're a little off,
She's
Mom.
like, because it was a couple months with your bone marrow transplant and 5 months just with your heart transplant. And then every time you were admitted. And I'll tell you this, when you spend so much time alone in a hospital room, you have a chance to really think about life and what's important to you. I
can't even imagine, yeah.
And you start to get curious about all the things that you want to do once you leave that room. But while I was there, I made a point to get to know all of my providers, all my nurses, all of my doctors. I found out if they were married, if they had kids, what their hopes and dreams were. And it was right in the middle of COVID, so they were exhausted. I think having a patient like me, and I don't want this to sound conceited, but I think that we were a breath of fresh air for each other.
Sure.
Because I think that they needed somebody who had a positive outlook on life and wasn't dying in the next room over. And I just loved being able to get to know people and always say thank you for everything they were doing for me, no matter when they left or entered my room. There was always gratitude.
Dang.
So.
And again, that's, going back to that original question that you're so passionate about it, but it makes sense because look what you had gone through and made it bearable.
Yeah.
Was there ever a thought in your mind, and I'm sure there was, but am I going to make this? Am I going to make it through this? Or were you like, no, I'm getting out of here? And did you always have that kind of positive outlook, or were there days where you're like, oh man, I don't know if I'm going to live?
I just never let myself think I was going to die.
Okay.
But I knew that there was a chance. So while I was waiting for my bone marrow transplant to work, I actually crocheted each of my girls an Afghan. Because just in case, leave something behind.
Right.
But
I love
literally, I just knew that I was going to survive and I needed to do everything I could to do that. When I was waiting in the ICU for my heart, the wait got really, really long. Visitors were abbreviated because of COVID. It was hard to kind of juggle who could come on which day, because once you assign 2 people, those same 2 people were the only 2 people that could come that day. People were living their lives outside of the hospital. I had what I call 2 false starts, where I'm told you get all of a sudden the providers are coming in, they're pulling a ton of lab work, asking a ton of questions, and you're being worked up for a possible transplant.
Okay.
And 2 out of the 3 times, the third was the charm, but the first 2, the physicians actually went to go get the heart and looked on it, laid eyes on it, and they said, this is not a good heart for her. And they left it, but you have the anticipation and the excitement and oh my gosh, it's the day, and that means that I'm going to get a heart and then I can go home soon. But when you lose that heart, I don't know how to explain it other than it felt like I had lost a loved one. Like, and I would grieve that for days after. And it was hard.
Yeah.
And it was in those days that I finally just had to, like, surrender to the divine and say, you know, why is it that this is happening? And please let me know my purpose. I need to know my purpose. And it was in that time that I got a very clear answer that I was here to serve others, that I was here to help others get through tough times.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't know what it looked like. But it turned into this, my mindset coaching, after, you know, being really curious, talking to people, figuring out how I could do things.
Sure.
But it's always been very clear that that's why I'm here, and what I'm supposed to be doing is serving others and helping others to get through difficult times in their life. Wow. Yeah.
Amazing. So obviously eventually you got the heart.
I did. I got my heart in September of 2021.
Yeah. Thankfully.
Yeah. Thankfully,
right.
yes.
And here you are.
Another miracle.
Another miracle,
it was
sure.
A perfect heart.
Oh, man.
I got a heart from somebody very young, and gratefully, it responds incredibly to exercise. Sometimes transplanted hearts don't.
Okay.
It's an anatomy thing.
That's also another miracle.
It is another miracle.
Right?
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. So I go backpacking. I've fell in love with fly fishing.
Really?
I fly fish in rivers and lakes I've been in Idaho, Utah, New Mexico, Colorado. It's been incredible. Absolutely incredible.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, congratulations on that. I mean, but boy, what you had to go through is just it's gut-wrenching, honestly, to hear it. But here you are, and I love that you've taken I love that you said gratitude was your savior.
Yeah.
That was so beautiful. But now you're like, okay, why am I here? What's the point? And it's like, you know what? I'm gonna set up this mindset coaching.
Uh-huh.
Is it directed specifically to women, or is it anyone? Or?
Anyone. I feel like my sweet spot is women, just because you know,
right.
I'm a woman and I understand the intricacies of being a mom in midlife, an empty nester, widow, all of that. Like it just kind of makes sense that I kind of market towards women, but I've actually had lots of great conversations with men as well.
Sure. I'm sure you have.
Yeah.
No, I think that's beautiful. I often believe this. I learned this a long time ago, that this statement, that life happens for us, not to us. And then I heard someone add to it, but life actually happens through us. And I thought, wow.
I like that even better.
Right?
That's beautiful.
Same here. And I heard that. I'm like, I'm going to steal that from you.
It makes me feel like I'm an instrument.
Exactly. And that's really what you're doing. That's why I brought that up, because really life is happening through you, meaning you are helping people find life again. They're finding that joy again in their life. They're finding their inner strength, and which is your specialty.
Uh-huh.
And talk about someone who had to dig so deep to find inner strength. Like you said, being in a hospital bed for that many months. Mm-hmm. I don't even know how you did it, because I can't even imagine. So I love that you went out of your way to not only have gratitude, but to get to know everyone, ask them questions, find out their hopes and dreams. And really, it was almost like a training ground for what you do now, right?
It totally was. It definitely was, yes.
That's amazing.
Yeah, and the great thing is, I've been in a lot of leadership positions throughout my career. Yeah. And this is the part I've always loved, is leading and mentoring people, empowering them to grow and, fall into what they're passionate about within their career paths.
Yeah.
And so it's something that I've always done naturally, I guess.
Yeah.
But now I'm just turning it into something that kind of fits more with my
very beautiful
own vision and values, and not the corporate mindset.
Well, I also can we give a shout out to your 3 remarkable kids?
Oh my gosh.
I mean, seriously, like, I'm sure they were such a strength for you as you were going through all this.
Yes. And it was definitely hard on them, and they actually ended up losing their dad. He died on Easter 2 years ago.
Wow.
Yeah, 2 years ago.
Yeah.
That's crazy to say.
And then watching you go through this
Uh-huh.
at the same time, basically.
Yes.
Ooh.
Yeah. So my
Wow.
kids are so tough and amazing. And I think that they feel maybe like they're not because they have struggled. But I have learned so much from watching and listening to my children.
Yeah. I can imagine. Wow,
And they are such beautiful women. They're just
amazing.
incredible.
Yeah, well, shout out to them. You have a book, an upcoming book coming out this year? Is that right?
I do.
Can you share some thoughts on that with us, or do you have to keep it under wraps?
So I had a name for it, and I think I'm changing it. So I'm not going to say the name.
Okay, that's fine.
But if you go on my website, jessicaann.org, and you sign up for my newsletter or any of my freebies, I'll make sure that you're kept up to date when it does release.
Okay, please.
But it's a combination of I would say a memoir and a self-help book. So it's my story in a lot more detail than what we talked about today. Going back clear to when I was little, some of my first memories of seeing and feeling gratitude and being around resilient people. But it's also a little, I guess, a handbook on how I've kept such a positive attitude and how people can actually translate that to their own lives.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, that's exciting.
I'm excited about it.
That is real exciting.
Been very cathartic writing it.
I can imagine.
Because sometimes when you're in the depths of like just fighting for your life, you don't always feel all the feels. And with this book, I got to feel all the feels.
No, I love that. And I've written a few books myself, and it really was a very therapeutic, cathartic experience. And it's like, man, reliving some of the things, and it was really cool. And so that's exciting. Yeah,
I did get to do an anthology book.
Okay.
It's called My Unforgettable Personal Stories That Will Inspire You. And it's a group of women that have all experienced some sort of setbacks or adversities or challenges in life, and how they bounced back. And it's really about mindset is what it is.
Okay.
And I wrote a chapter on fly fishing and how it's helped heal me.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I laugh because I've tried fly fishing before years ago.
Okay.
Horrible. So it's me and my friend. We're on this little canoe. We're up in Idaho, and we were like hooking each other.
Oh no!
Like, oh man, sorry about that. I mean, we were so bad at it, and but I think it's such a beautiful thing when you see someone just really be able to just, lay that little fly down just softly,
gorgeous.
Right?
I actually have some video on my Instagram of me fly fishing.
We'll have to check that out.
I have caught myself with a hook in my neck, if that makes you feel any better.
Yeah, that does, because I'm like, man.
My friend had to come over and get it out with little pliers that he had in his pocket. It was horrible.
Wow. Well, I wanna share a quote with you. Okay. And I think it kind of sums up. It just describes you in so many ways. I think of what kind of your journey of, the good, the bad, the ugly, the hard, the joys, all of it. And I want to read it to you if you don't mind. Okay. And I'd love to hear your thoughts, how it touches you. Is that cool?
Yeah, that's cool.
Okay. So it goes like this. Every saint has a past. Every sinner has a future. A reminder that we're all unfinished stories. Scarred by our mistakes, yet redeemed by the hope of what's to come. It whispers that even in the darkest moments can be stepping stones to light. That redemption isn't reserved for the perfect. No, it's for the broken, the flawed, the ones who have fallen and dared to rise again. The past doesn't define you, it shapes you. And the future, well, hell, that's where you'll shine. That was by Oscar Wilde, by the way.
Oh, really? Yeah. I love that. Oh, my gosh.
Right?
Now I'm a little emotional.
Yeah, but it really kind of encapsulates everything you've been through.
You know, life is freaking beautiful. Like, all of the ups and downs, I'm grateful I got sick. And I know a lot of people won't understand that, but I'm truly grateful because I get to see life in this whole incredibly beautiful way. Yeah. Food tastes better. the sunrises and sunsets are far more beautiful. Colors are brighter.
Yeah.
Love feels more nourishing and whole. And laughter is just incredible. And I'm more empathetic, more compassionate, more in tune to the fact that we're all connected.
Yeah.
Like we are all connected in such a beautiful and powerful way.
Yeah.
And I'm grateful I got sick.
Wow. I can understand that. I was a drug addict for 10 years and I'm grateful that I was, because it has allowed me to do what I'm doing now.
Uh-huh.
And I know that sounds strange to a lot of people too. Like, what?
Yeah.
But I see why you say that, because
Yeah.
again, if it was the training ground to be able to do what you're doing now, actually making a huge impact in people's lives, I mean, I see why you're grateful for it.
Yeah,
I see
it
why
broke me open.
Yeah.
Like it just broke me open to all of this, and it's
Girl,
amazing.
That is incredible. You know, if there's someone tuning in right now, listening to your voice, Jessica, and they're struggling
Yeah.
and they're in a dark place,
Yeah.
what would you tell that person right now?
Oh, goodness. You know, just hang on. Take little steps. Try and identify little things that you're grateful for. They're around you. It might not feel like it right now. Community is your best friend. Reach out to people that you know love you. I've read a study recently that said all you need is 8 minutes. 8 minutes of talking to a friend, and it can totally reset your
Really?
mind and
Wow.
how you're feeling. Yeah.
That's amazing.
So community is incredible, but you don't have to be stuck. And you have a choice every day to pick things that can bring you out of the darkness. But I don't know. I would just say I love you and just hang in there, you
Yeah.
know?
Wow.
Just hang in.
I love that. Beautifully said.
Yeah.
That was really touching. Thank you
Uh-huh.
for sharing that. If someone wants to reach out to you and, check out, your books already, and maybe the one that's coming, and
Yeah.
maybe look into your coaching and stuff, what's the best way for them to do that?
Yeah, so I'd encourage them to go to Jessica Anne, so it's JESSICAANNE.org. You can access a lot of free giveaways on there.
Okay.
Some free resources, just some great tips. You can also click on all of my social media links right there.
Okay.
You can also sign up for a newsletter. I send out a weekly newsletter, just
Nice.
something fun, trying to bring up people's
Yeah.
joy and happiness in life. But yeah, if there are any women out there who are just feeling stuck, high functioning women that, from the outside it looks like you have it all,
Yeah.
and feel stuck and just unfulfilled, and you're ready to make a change and see what life can feel like,
Yeah.
reach out to me. Let's have a chat. I do a free 45-minute coaching call to kind of help identify, maybe
Yeah.
the self-limiting doubts that
Sure.
we have as humans, so
Yep.
that we can break through the next level of just opening up our minds and getting curious about what's possible in life.
Okay. Beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll put that link in the show notes when we go live, and they can click right to
Okay.
it. And I encourage everyone listening, please do so. And
Yes, I would love it.
yeah, no, you're amazing. I am so grateful for Tiffany Peterson, and we mentioned her before. We all love her. We love you, Tiffany.
Yes.
And I'm so grateful that she connected us. And
Me too.
I have felt just so good sitting here with you. You're
Aw.
very well spoken. You have a really good vibe about you. And I think that vibe, that frequency is that gratitude piece. I can tell
Thank
you just,
you.
you exude it, and it's awesome.
I love
So I'm
it.
thankful for that I've been able to sit here and witness it face to face.
Oh, thank you so much, Todd. I
Yeah.
do. I love life. It is incredible. It's so hard sometimes, but that's part of the things that makes it so beautiful.
It is, right?
Yeah.
Well, thank you for taking some time out of your busy schedule to come sit with me today. And, it really does mean a lot to me. And I know that I know you love doing these things, but I know it takes some sacrifice to get here. So thank you for doing that.
You are so welcome.
Yeah. Well, guys, there you go. What a beautiful story by Jessica, right? Please reach out to her, click on the links, go check out her website, check out her social media. Look forward to this book that's coming out here in the next year. And, If you have a loved one who's struggling, whether it's health issues or any kind of issue, send them a link to this episode, and it will, brighten their day. And you can follow back up with them. Hey, what'd you think of Jessica's story? And I really would love you guys to do that. Again, shout out to my sponsors. You guys truly are the best. I love you guys. And Jessica, we love you as well.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thanks for doing this. I love that you're bringing such a positive attitude to the world.
Thank you.
Need more people like you.
Oh, that means a lot.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. All right, guys. Love you. And until next time, take care.